Yeah, we can start.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So, good morning, everyone. Now, Professor V. Shankar Narayan sir with us. So, sir is going to give an expert lecture on sliding mode controller. So, let me give brief introduction about sir. So, Professor V. Shankar Narayan received BE degree from Government College of Engineering, Tirunelveli, Tamil Nadu, in 1997. So, MTech degree in Energy Engineering, National Institute of Technology, Tiruchi, in 1999. PhD degree in Systems and Control Engineering in Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, in December 2005. Postdoctoral researcher, Istanbul Technical University, Istanbul, Turkey, from 2006 to 2008. So he is serving in NIT Tiruchi as a faculty member since November 2008, where he is currently a professor in Electrical and Electronics Engineering Department. Apart from serving the institute in a different administrative positions, so he is presently acting as a head of the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering Department. And he has published more than 100 research papers in reputed journals and conferences in the area of control and instrumentation. His current research interests include nonlinear control, control of under-actuated systems, sliding mode controller, and constrained stabilization. So once again, I am welcoming you, sir, on behalf of Electrical Engineering Department of Rajkiya Engineering College, Sonbad. So welcome, sir.
Thank you for the introduction, Chiranjeevi. So good morning to all of you. Yeah, this lecture is about the sliding mode control. I don't know how many of you are aware of the sliding mode control, how it actually differs from the other basic control technique. What are the advantages of hopefully I'm audible. If anything in the audio, please let me know so that I can adjust my mic.
Okay, sir.
So the advantages of sliding mode control and what is the drawbacks of applying the sliding mode control in practice, all those detail we will see in this lecture. Not the complete detail because the time is very short. So let me share the screen and whether all of you could see the screen.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay. So yeah. So we'll see about this sliding mode control. One is it is a non-linear control method. Okay, and it is robust. It is robust. That is the advantages of sliding mode control. Robust against external disturbances and parameter variation. Okay, so robustness is after you design the controller, first you have to ensure about the stability. That is the very basic property of any closed loop control technique. Okay, so when we ensure stability, then we have to then we also have learned about something called relative stability and everything, but don't need to bring those notions. When there is a change over the parameters of the system, we assume some parameter when we design the controller. That's what the model-based control design. When we assume such a parameter, if there are some changes in the parameters, because sometimes the parameter can change, or we cannot measure the parameter exactly when we design the controller. even if there are changes in the parameters, the controller has to ensure about the stability. That is the basic property. Forget about performance. Similarly, the controller has to work even if there is a presence of external disturbances. Those two qualities are very important for any closed loop control system. Okay, but sliding control is so peculiar such that this can ensure the robustness against parameter variations and external disturbance. And moreover, the robustness of the sliding mode controller can be theoretically proved by adjusting some of the controller parameters. Those are the very huge plus points of sliding mode control. Okay, so if you look at the controller structure compared to other controllers, it is a nonlinear controller, and you know what we mean by a nonlinear system. Okay, we have system nonlinear and controller could be linear, system linear, controller could be nonlinear. All the combinations are possible, but sliding mode control alone, if you take, it is actually a nonlinear controller. Okay, that's what I have written first, and second, this robustness. And what are the other properties we can list out? Another one is the order of the system. System is reduced in sliding mode control. But then order of the system reduced when? Not at the start. When we start, say for t equal to 0, if you start the system behavior, when t equal to 0, it is not. But after some time, if t is greater than some time capital T, this time you have to calculate. After this time, the whole system order is less. What we mean by system order is less. Suppose if you have a nth order system, I hope all of you know about the order of the system, right? Remember, I'm not talked about anything about what structure of the system we are going to consider or what platform we are going to deal with the system. Either it's a transfer function approach or it's a state space approach. I'm not going to tell you right now. Still, we know about what we mean by nonlinear, what we mean by robustness, what we mean by order of the system. All these definitions are still valid. Okay, so the order of the system is less after some time, the finite time t. After that time, the order of the system is less. But how much it is less, or the number? Suppose we have nth order system. What is the order after some time? Maybe n minus 1, or it is n minus 2, or it is n minus some number m. What is that m? How many order we can bring down the system behavior order? How we can bring down? For example, if the second order system, whether it will be, it cannot be converted into zero order system because it is sitting in the origin. But whether is it converted into a first order system? Yes. Is it converted into a zeroth order system? Yeah, we have to find out. Suppose I have a 10th order system. Will it become 5th order after some time? That we have to find out. So all those points can classify the sliding mode control into different names. One is the conventional sliding mode control. Another one is the recent literature, higher order sliding mode control. Okay, all these higher order sliding mode controllers can bring down the system behavior into some other order that is less than the original system order. That is another added advantages of sliding mode control. But those are all little minute. Unless otherwise you get into that, you cannot realize that what we mean by order reduction, why it is happening, all those things. But that will automatically comes into the design procedure. Okay, so these are all the few points about sliding mode control. Anyway, we are going to start from a very basic closed loop control architecture, and we are going to slowly bring what we mean by sliding mode control. Okay, if you could recall the very basic closed loop structure. This is what comes to our mind when we say that a closed loop structure. It is very simple. You can write here the reference input. Here is the controlled output. This we call G of S. I am writing in terms of a Laplace variable. No, if we don't want to write that, that is also fine. We can still talk in terms of a simple time domain. So we have R of t, C of t, and here you have E of t. Okay, here we have E of t, and this is the feedback. So this is what we call system to controller. This is what we know. Okay, this system can be represented in any form. The system can be anything. The system can be anything. Could be linear, non-linear, maybe time invariant or time varying. It comes under any category. It's fine. Similarly, controller can be either linear, non-linear. Any block if you take, you can categorize under linear system or non-linear system, time varying, time invariant, or many causal system, non-causal system. We can capture either it could any block in this, any block. If you can draw this closed loop architecture in a very detailed manner also. We have a controller, we have a final control element, we have a system, then there is a disturbance. So many things are there, but it's a very simplified way of writing a closed loop system. Okay, but the whole idea of this closed loop controller is how to go about designing this controller. So what is the basic qualities of the controller? One is stability. Next one is performance. Okay, stability anyway should be ensured. This we cannot write this is the mandatory requirement for any closed loop control system should be stable after designing the controller. Okay, but for our convenience, what we are doing, we are trying to design a controller by studying the system behaviors in a proper way. How we can study the system behavior? System behavior is how the system behaves when we apply the input. That's what we generally do. So there are many methods how to find the system performance. So to understand system performance, we want some mathematical tool. When we try to pick some mathematical tool, the mathematical tools are very complex when you try to understand system as it is. So we are trying to approximate system into a different model. So that's one way of approximating the system is those nonlinear system can be converted into a linear system by approximation. You can go with a Taylor series approximation or some other approximation. It can be converted into a linear system. Why we are running behind linear system? Because studying the behavior of the linear system theoretically is very simple compared to a nonlinear system. That's why we are converting into a linear system, and then we are taking help of all the tools to understand that. What are the tools we are taking? We are taking Laplace transform to understand the system behavior, because if the system is linear time invariance, then it is very easy for us to predict the behavior of the linear time invariant system. Why? If you give a impulse response, we'll get a response. That impulse response can be converted into the system response for any given input. Why? The system is linear time invariant. So the impulse, any signal can be assembled or can be composed of different impulses at different instances with different magnitude. Okay, so that is the basic concept in a classical theory. Then we will understand the system behavior. But why we are understanding the system behavior? Because we want to know how the system behaves for a various input, so that we can design a closed loop controller. Okay, so that's the first step. Then we take Laplace transform for doing it, because convolution in time domain is very difficult. As you know, we cannot do an integral, convolution integral. That's why we are using a Laplace transform, because Laplace transform convolution is nothing but multiplying two Laplace functions. Okay, so those are all the fundamentals. Then later we go with the state space model. State space model, we go behind state space model because still it's a linear time invariant system, but we want to handle system with multiple input, multiple output, and we also want to tackle system with some non-zero initial condition. That's why we are going for the state space. So these are all different techniques. These are all different techniques to understand the system. We use different techniques to understand the system behavior. But finally, what we are going to do, we are going to design a controller. So even if you say that, sir, I'm doing with the classical theory, Laplace transform method, I'm doing state space method, but finally the final question will come to everybody's mind that whether did we do a controller design properly, whether the controller give you two important performance. One is stability, another one is other performances. I mean, good performance, settling, short settling time, no overshoots. Like that performance, we can write in so many words. But then, if even by doing all this understanding, if you could not able to design a proper control, then there is no point of going into a very complicated mathematical modeling, understanding, and other things. Okay, so these are all the very basics of a closed loop control thing. But when we go for a sliding mode control can be interpreted or can be it's possible to understand in this structure itself. This structure itself, it can be. So we can ask, we are saying that sliding mode control is non-linear. Okay. What the controller structure can look? Controller structure alone, if you take, remember this is for a closed loop controller, not for open loop control. So by the time when I say closed loop controller, the error signal is given to the controller. The controller is trying to produce some U of t. This is what the controller block alone, if you try to understand. By the time when I say a nonlinear controller, the relation between these two, is basically a nonlinear relationship. What we mean by nonlinear relationship? Suppose I'm writing a U of t, which is equal to, for example, I'm writing 5 times E of t. So it's just a scaling. If I find error, 5 times I amplify error to produce U of t. Okay, this is a linear system. Just a gain 5. That's all. Every time if you give E of t, it's scaled by 5 times. So if I draw a graph of E of t into E of t, it just some curve goes like this. That's it. So it is linear. Then suppose I'm writing E of t is equal to E of t square. Yes, you know that the function f of x is x square, for example. If you say like that, it's very simple. It is a nonlinear relation because it's a square term. So we can say this is a nonlinear system. So this is this system is what it's a. We have removed the whole closed loop architecture. We removed this block from the closed loop architecture. So this itself considers the system now, and then this is a nonlinear system. So like that, if you write anything in terms of this type of relationship, we can say it is a nonlinear. But then we have to understand that whether this controller is going to, when we go back to this original block diagram, whether this controller will work when we close the loop properly. That we have to study. After designing the controller, we have to study whether the system is stable, closed loop system is stable. So we have to put all the equations together. Then we have to understand the stability through different methods. That's what. Okay. So by the time when we write a relationship like this, we can say it is a nonlinear controller. But then why sliding mode controller is a nonlinear controller? That's another question now. So we said that sliding mode controller is a nonlinear controller. Before we get into the controller design, we should understand why the sliding mode controller is a nonlinear controller. Okay, maybe can write a sliding mode controller in this form. For example, U of t controller output. If you could write, I said that okay, sign. Then suppose we can write a sigmum function. It is sigmum of E of t, for example. What is this sigmum function? The sigmum function is nothing but a switch, a relay. So it says that we can define, I'm going to define the sigmum function. E of t equal to 0 if E of t equal to 0. Equal to 1 if E of t is greater than 0. E of t is minus 1 if E of t is less than 0. This is what the meaning of this. And you see, suppose if you could draw a graph So this is E of t. If E of t is 0, it is 0. By the time E of t is positive, this is 1. All the right hand side it is 1. All the left hand side it is minus 1. Is it clear? So this is what we mean by the graphical representation of this. The sigma function. So what it do? So it will simply switch. By the time it finds that the throatless, the error is positive, it will switch on. By the time it is negative, it is minus. Okay. So this is what the meaning of this. So there is a control action. That control action, this is nothing but a sliding mode control. You can keep in mind that this is sliding mode control. But what is the concept behind writing this? What is the guarantee that this type of a control idea will help you for system stability? All those things we have to study. That is the purpose. Okay. From those study, we can extract few procedures. Those procedures are nothing but the steps involved in sliding mode control. But before, because people may have a classical theory background, somebody would have not even studied state space. But for all those people, what you have to understand is we are looking for a controller, and we are going to call this as sliding mode control. But we have the idea of a classical control theory. I mean the closed loop structure. And sliding mode controller, I said that it is one of the nonlinear controller. We should know what we mean by a nonlinear control. So all PID controllers, all neat-like compensators are all linear controllers, because you can capture the relationship between U of t and E of t either in terms of a transfer function, or you can write in terms of a time domain relation itself, like this. All linear functions, either linear functions alone or combinations of linear functions. You can ask, okay, suppose if I write E of t is equal to 5 times E of t plus integral of E of t plus dE of t by dt. Yes, this is a PID controller structure in time domain. Okay, so integral is a linear function, differentiation is a linear function, scaling is a linear function. Combine all those linear functions, yes, you are going to get a linear function. So I've never added. Suppose if I'm adding the sine of E of t, sine, sinusoidal function of E of t, then it is no longer a linear controller, it is a nonlinear controller, because I've added a term, nonlinear term here. Okay, so that is the basic understanding. But I am writing a very particular structure of a nonlinear controller like this. Why? Yeah, this is also a nonlinear function. This is not looking like this. This function is not looking like this. It is not looking like that. It is pure. It's like a switch. But then you can ask, so what is how we can do it? Okay, what is the example of that? A very simple example. You take all on-off controllers. All on-off controllers, you see what happens. It has two states. One is on. Either you can write is off maybe with -1, or you can write in 0 line itself. That is okay. But still you have a switching function. There's a switch. For example, you take your air conditioning machine. What happens if you are setting some temperature 25, but the actual temperature, room temperature is 30. So it separates 30 minus 25. 25 your set temperature, 30 is your atmospheric temperature. If it is positive, it will switch on the AC machine. By the time it reaches 25, it will switch off. -1, you can assume that switch off. It will switch off. So this is basically, in terms of sliding mode controller terminology, this is also a sliding mode control. Why? Because the control action is a switch. I can write a switch like this. It's a switch, but it seems to be very obvious, right? But what makes us to have a switch as a controller? Why not for some other type? So that is very important. In which place we have to go for this kind of control action, and what is the advantages of doing it? That is very important. Writing like a switching function, we have to understand what is the plus and what is the minus. Minus we can immediately write chartering. Why it is chartering? Around this point, if it is keep on For example, this is E of t, this is E of t. Okay, if you have a chartering over this place, if the E of t is varying again in this range, somehow the error is changing from one point to another point like that. If it is keep on doing, then what happens? The control action will be on off abruptly. It's suddenly on, it's suddenly off. Suppose assuming your air conditioning machine, the outside unit is switching on and switching off, keep on tuck 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 tuck. So what happens? All those components will experience a chartering effect. You have your supply switching on and your supply switching off. The motor will try to rotate, then suddenly it stops. So sometimes this high frequency can affect the system performance, and system may not be designed to operate that type of frequency. Okay, those are all the negative of sliding mode control. That is fine. There is a well-known fact that any on-off controller, we have a chartering if we operate in that particular band. In this particular, if it is always E of t is positive, the controller is simply switch on. If E of t is always negative, switch off. But the only question is whether anytime it is crossing this point is fine. Crossing this E of t is okay. But it should not operate over this range itself always. Then there is a chartering. Okay, so it is very important that for what type of system the error can behave like that. The error can go up and down, or it can cross the zero. Whether zero crossing occurs often. If it is not occurs often, yes, for those cases, you can very well apply this control technique, on-off control technique. But if it is not, it is very difficult. Okay, that's the second part. But we talk about the plus. If you assume that this system is a sliding mode control, then first of all you have to say that it is robust. I mean, what way it is robust? What way we say that this switching action is robust? We have to show, we have to prove in what way the switching action is highly effective. Okay. Then we have to connect the link. Then we have to establish how this U of t and E of t are connected through other methods. See, U of t and E of t are connected through two ways in a closed loop system. What is that? If you take system alone, it's fine. U of t, so E of t and U of t. But then this is not alone. This fellow goes to system, then there's a closed loop. So relation between U of t and E of t is also affecting. After you apply this U of t, this E of t should be changing, right? It's changing. It's not that this function is alone connected. Outside it is connected via the other loop. So we have to understand how this other loop, how best if you go for this, the other loop is designed such that, or this controller is designed such that the relation between U of t and E of t via other loop ensures that this E of t is still in a minimum level. This E of t is not changing abruptly. That we have to show. Okay, that is what we mean by robustness. That is good in sliding mode control. Okay. Is that clear? If you have any questions at this stage, please ask. If you have any basic doubts about, before we get into some design example or design procedures, please you let me know if you have any doubt.
Participants, if you are having any doubts at this level, please ask.
Because this is a basic idea, basic understanding of sliding. Without really going into state space and design procedure, this is what we mean by sliding mode. So if you have any doubt about the sliding mode at this stage, whatever you learned before, or if you have any doubt about that, even if you're learning fresh, please you can ask. I can clarify that, then I can move further.
Sir, I think no doubts, sir.
But I have a doubt whether people are active in the lecture. Yes, they can ask because it is a new topic for them maybe.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is the design procedure? Okay. So yeah, we have to somehow bring the state space motion. Before we get into the state space motion, what is the idea of the sliding mode control? I want to bring, there's two notion. One is design of sliding surface, okay, or manifold. That's the first step. Second one is reaching the sliding manifold or surface in finite time. These are the two important steps you have to follow in sliding mode control. Okay. Now, what we mean by the sliding surface or sliding manifold, that we have to define what it is. Second one is how to reach the sliding surface in finite time. Okay, these are all the two important steps involved in that. Okay. Before we getting into sliding surface or manifold, we have to understand what is the control objective of any system. So we should know, right, what we want to do. A open loop system is given. We want to design a controller, and then we have to ensure that okay, the closed loop control have certain specifications. One is stability, as I said. Another one is performance. So what do? You just write the objectives of the closed loop control. What are the objectives? You can write. So objectives of closed loop control. That objectives can help. It is not a straightforward calculation that okay, all the objectives I can convert. It's the same way. Suppose I have, for a given system, I can have thousands of objectives. But we have to make sure that whether the controller what we try to design will meet. After we close the system, will it meet all the objectives? That we have to ensure. But that sometimes controller may not ensure all the specifications, but most of the specifications we try to ensure. Same way here also. You write the objective, then based on the objective, you design a sliding surface. We'll see what we mean by a sliding surface. Okay, sliding surface. Then we have to ensure that in the sliding surface of the system, the control objective is satisfied. That's what we are trying. Okay, so first write the control objective. What is the control objective? A, stability, or whatever you write, maybe settling time, rise time, everything you write down. Then we have to how to convert all these specifications into a sliding surface. That is the question. Okay. So sliding surface is nothing but we are writing some function, something we want to do it. For example, you can say, sir, in the closed loop structure, whatever we have learned, what is the objective? If you bring this, what is the objective? Sir, I want to make E of t equal to 0. That's all. Very simple objective. No need to even worry about it. Yeah, I don't want to have any error. When I have a closed loop system, E of t should be 0. What do you mean by that? I have a motor drive. I want to maintain 1500 RPM. So I am trying to design a closed loop control. Okay. there are maybe disturbances. There may be set point variations. Forget about it. So there may be a lot of disturbances here. There may be set point variations can be here. Maybe a tracking problem. Initially, I have a 0 RPM, then 1000, 1500. Like that, R of t also can change. C of t also can change because there are a lot of disturbance comes from outside. But I am simply writing in a paper saying that whatever comes from outside, there may be changes over R of t. There may be changes over the output because of disturbances. There may be some other issues with the system, so semi-parameter variations, whatever. But I want to make E of t equal to 0. Identically 0. Identically 0 means what? E of t equal to 0 at any time. But this is a very strange objective. It's highly conservative. It's not possible. How can you make it E of t identically 0? Without any cause, E of t converge to 0. E of t can come to 0 sometime. No such tolerance. E of t should be 0. This is a simple objective you can write. Is it possible to design any controller that makes E of t identically 0? No, it is not possible. Any controller, if you take, it may take some time to bring E of t equal to 0, but E of t equal to 0 is the control objective. Same thing here. You write, you say E of t equal to 0. Then what I can write? I can write this sliding surface, something like this. E of t equal to 0. And you see, E of t equal to 0, all the objectives are satisfied, right? E of t equal to 0, yes, the system is stable because you made error equal to 0, right? What is the error? 0 means things works perfectly. At certain time, rise time, you never worry because you want to make E of t identically 0. And then what could be the sliding surface? Sir, suppose if this I take a sliding, suppose I'm defining this E of t 0 as a sliding surface, yes, it qualifies. Why? All the objectives are satisfied in the sliding surface. But then this is highly conservative. What I want to say is, we can define anything as a sliding surface. Mathematically, we have to write a function. That function equal to 0. When that function is something you are making 0. When you make that function equal to 0, you ensure all this objective. What is the objective? System is stable and it meet all the requirement. That's fine. Like that, you have to define a function. So for a given system, either you do it on the state space or you do it in a classical control approach. We have to ensure that the sliding surface can ensure all the control objective when the system is satisfied. That, or you can rather saying sliding surface, you can say some condition. When it satisfies that conditions, your control objectives are satisfied. So you have to bring such conditions. Or in mathematics, we write a function so that when the function equal to 0, the control objectives ensure. Then the next question is how that function can be 0. We have a system dynamics. How you make error equal to 0? Initially, error is high, right? When you start the motor, it's 0 RPM, and we set at 1500 RPM. We want initially the error is really large. Then the motor rotates. It reaches 500 RPM. It reaches 1000 RPM. And after some time it is 1500, error is 0, but after some time suddenly it is going to 1600. So it can take any value. So error can be a function of time. It may not be 0, it is keep on changing. So we have to ensure that is it possible to make E of t equal to 0? First of all, E of t equal to 0 is fine. But is it possible to make E of t equal to 0? You have to explore. Okay. So the second part is design a controller. Controller design is hidden here. You define a surface. Then second, once you ensure that, when you make this function is 0, everything looks perfect. The control objective, performance, stability, everything satisfied. But now the question is how to reach the surface. How to go to the surface in finite time. That is important because once you reach the surface only you can enjoy all the benefits. Without going into the surface or without reaching the surface or without achieving that condition, we cannot help. So we have to ensure that after defining the surface, we have to ensure that we are making that condition possible. That is very important. Okay. So these are the two design procedures, but we'll take an example and we'll do it. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
If you have any questions, please interrupt in between, because at a stage you cannot get all the ideas.
Yes, sir.
We'll go step by step only. So if you have any questions also in between, you can ask. I'll tell you what is the idea behind, how it can be done, all those things.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. So one is the so in the sliding mode terminology, we call one is the reaching phase, another one is the sliding phase. Okay. Reaching phase, sliding phase. Okay. So the reaching phase is nothing but we are reaching the surface. Once we are on the surface, it is called a sliding phase. So we are sliding over it's called sliding mode control. Why it's called sliding mode control? From where we bring the notion of sliding. So we have a surface and we are sliding on the surface. We are not going out of that. We are sliding over it. That's called the sliding phase. And reaching phase is we are trying to reach the surface in finite time. That's called the reaching phase. So the control objective is both. The control objective is to reach the phase, because the controller don't know. The controller don't know what it is going to do it. Because the design steps are like this. We are fixing some objectives, and in between we are defining some functions or some surface or mathematically some time-based function or state variable, whatever it is. We are bringing that equal to 0, and we have to ensure that by bringing down that equal to 0, all the control objectives satisfied. But then the next question asks how you are going to bring this function equal to 0. That is the reaching phase. So the controller has to ensure two objectives of the controller. First, the control objective is not directly related to the objective in terms of stability or performance. Forget about it. So controller design is here. The objective is here. So in between what we have all the sliding mode concept. So what is that? So you write down all the objectives and controller designs here. So this controller will simply do the job based on the sliding. But then this control objective is somehow linked into the sliding surface, manifold, reaching, sliding, all those things. So controller design is not directly connected to the control objective of the system. Controller design is not directly connected to the control objective. It is connected in an indirect way. What is the indirect way? We have made some kind of a functions, we have designed some kind of function such that all these control objectives are satisfied with this. Then we tell the controller that you do this job. Don't see this on the control objective. You do whatever we try you to do it. Then the control objective is satisfied in another. Okay, so the control objective is now making this function equal to 0. That sliding, we call sliding function. Suppose if I write yes of anything, s of t or x of t, whatever, this make it 0. This you make it 0. So what we mean by this you make it 0? This s of may not be 0, and we have to, from this condition to this condition, we have to make it. So two things, s of t or s of x from non-zero to 0, and maintaining that 0 for all the feature time. That's what we mean by the sliding phase. I'm maintaining, because anytime it may be, because based on the system behavior, this function cannot be 0 at all the time. You have to keep on watch whether this function is still 0 or not. If it is not 0, we have to make it 0 again. So this is always action. The closed loop control is always action. Okay, so the control objective is indirectly doing two jobs. One is bringing this function s from some non-zero value to zero value. After bringing it to zero value, we have to ensure that it stays there. That is, so first time bringing s from non-zero to zero is called reaching phase. Maintaining s of zero for all the future time is called sliding phase. So reaching is the first time, reaching from s of 0 from non-zero value to zero value, because it may be somewhere else. We are bringing that function to 0. Then after bringing to 0, it may go a little bit here and there. It may be 0 and then suddenly a small non-zero value, and pushing here and there, and to maintain s of 0 equal to 0 is what we mean by a sliding phase. This is what is called a sliding mode. So clear? We'll take a simple example, but then we have to somehow bring the notion of state space. Otherwise, we cannot go with that. Consider this second order system. Consider this second order system. Okay. Hopefully you are all familiar with state space, right? I'm just asking to the participants, are you familiar with the state space?
Yes, sir.
These participants are, they've explored what is state, dot and all, right? I don't need to.
Yes, sir. Almost all participants from electrical branch only, sir. I think they have known, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, then. Okay. What is the control objective? For example, the control objective will write. To make x1 equal to x2 equal to 0. If it starts from non-zero, we can make it 0. Okay. That is the control objective. And if you start from some non-zero value, we don't know, it can go to any value because it's based on your u. Even you make it u equal to 0. If you start from a non-zero value, x2 dot is a non-zero value, then x2 dot is 0, but x2 is a non-zero value. Then x2 non-zero value, x1 will simply blow up. So it is something can happen. We cannot suppose if I ask you to draw a graph of x1, x2, u. I make u equal to 0. I make u equal to 0. Take a case where u equal to 0. And you are going to start this x2 from here, say 5. And since u is 0, x2 dot is 0 means x2, there is no change on x2. x2 is going to maintain. But what is x1 dot is equal to x2? So even if you start x1 is equal to 0, because x2 dot is maybe 5, the rate of change of x1 is 5. So starting from 0, then the rate of change is 5 times. It will simply blow up some other value. Okay. So this is, sorry, we'll say, this is time. This is u. This is x2. This is x1. Are functions of time. This is what? It's a simple. This is second order system. So even if you don't apply u, the system is when it's open loop, this is what is going to happen. But what I want to do is the control objective is very clear. I want to make x1 equal to x2 equal to 0. I don't want to go to any value. When you start from anything, I am expecting, I can start from any value you can start. This is x1. And this is x2. This is u. What kind of behavior I'm expecting? You start from anywhere. I don't mind. You start from even negative also, you can start. What I want to bring down from any value to 0. I have to bring down to 0. It's objective. But what is that u? I have to decide. What u if I design? I know that if u is 0, this is not going to happen. But I am looking for a u. What u if I design? I can bring from any value, non-zero value, to 0 value. But if you start from 0, 0 u will help. If you start from x1 and x2 equal to 0, you no need to apply u. It will still stay there itself. But if you start from non-zero value, when u equal to 0 for all the time, that we mean by open loop, then no. The closed loop system or the open loop system will not bring if you start non-zero value to 0 value. Okay. So we have to do something for this objective. And we are going to do it for the sliding mode control. We're using sliding mode control. Okay. Now I am defining a function. Yes. As a function of this x1 comma x2. I want to write this x1 plus x2. To meet this control objective, the control objective is very clear. I have to make x1 equal to x2 equal to 0. Then you can ask, sir, what is the practical this of making this x1 equal to x2 equal to 0? Consider x1, x2, two variable as a error of something. Error in the position, error in the velocity. I want to make the position and velocity equal to 0. There is no velocity over the error, the error over velocity. There is no error on the position. It is maintaining properly. I want to go by 50 km/h and I am maintaining some position based on that. That's based on the position requirement. This is an example. Like that, any two variable you take, I want to make error over those two variables are 0, or you make that variable itself 0 if you consider only the error dynamics. You can make only the variable itself 0. That is what the objective. How to achieve that objective is what? Okay. So I am defining a function. This is a simple example, simple linear system example. Okay. S of x1 comma x2 equal to 0 equal to x1 plus x2. Then this is called a sliding function. When we make this sliding function, then what is the sliding this function? What is sliding surface? This sliding function equal to 0. This is what the sliding surface. So what we mean by that, which implies x1 plus x2 equal to 0. That further implies x2 is equal to minus x1. This is the condition. So if you can ask why you have defined this function, because when I make this function equal to 0, something happening. When this function equal to 0, this is the condition, x2 equal to minus x1. What happens if x2 equal to minus x1? Okay, look at the original dynamics. I pluck x1 dot is equal to x2. But what is x2? x2 equal to minus x1. You see? x1 dot equal to minus x1. This looks very simple. A differential equation, the rate of change of the differential equation is equal to minus x1. The same value itself. So what is the solution for this? What is x1 of t now? It is nothing but x1 of 0 into e power minus t. So on the surface, if you assume that this value equal to 0, then you see what all the things are happening. it comes out to be. So any x1 of 0 if you start, for example, any x, this is t, this is x1, from anywhere if you start from here, anywhere if you start, the value, it slowly comes to 0. That is happening. If you start from 0, it is 0, no doubt. That's nice. So the surface at S equal to 0, this is happening. Then you can ask, sir, we have two states. One is x1, another one is x2. You show that x1 goes to 0, but what about x2? You look at here, we have connected x1 and x2. By the time when you say that x2 equal to minus x1, this x2 behavior is nothing but minus x1, reverse of the negative polarity of x2. For example, x1, if you start from this, x2 will go from here. That's all. This is x1, x2. Then you can ask, sir, we are starting from different x1 of 0, different x2 of 0. How come both have a negative, both are same with a negative value? How that is possible? That is possible if you make s equal to 0. Understand, the whole analysis, the whole idea assumes that s equal to 0. But who said that s equal to 0? What is s equal to 0? x1 equal to x2 equal to minus x1. Who said that x1 equal to minus x2? I can start x1 from x1 of 0, 5 and x2 of 0 equal to 10. 10 is not equal to minus 5. It is completely, so s equal to 0 or s of x1 comma x2 equal to 0 is not possible, first of all, at first. But after you make s equal to 0, this analysis is very important on the sliding surface. When you slide over the surface, this seems to be very nice. Initially, we start from a second order system. Now you see, this is second order. Now you see, this is first order. Why first order? I have connected x1 and x2. It is no longer different. I am saying that whatever value x1 you take, it is nothing, x2 is nothing but minus of that value. Simple. And I'm ensuring after that, whenever s equal to 0, this condition is true. All this analysis is valid. So, that's what I'm saying. First, you define the surface. Whether the surface satisfies our objective, yes, it is satisfying. And if when you make s equal to 0, x1 will go to 0, whatever value you start. After making s equal to 0, you have to understand. Not x, but not is not equal to 0. When s equal to 0, x1 goes to 0. Then you can ask, what about x2? No need to ask, because x1 and x2 both are same now with only negative sign. x2 also will go to 0. So control objective is satisfied. Both x1 and x2 will go to 0 in this condition. Okay. But now the question is how to make s equal to 0. That is the problem. How to make s equal to 0. So now step 1, design of sliding function or surface or manifold, all are just linked. So if I design s and we make s equal to 0, then we said that okay, fine. We proved it. Proved that when s equal to 0, control objective satisfied. It is satisfied. That's true. But now, step 2. How to make s equal to 0. This is very important. How to make s equal to 0. That is the control design. Okay. Now we'll see how to make this s equal to 0. Because controller is not yet come to picture. So we'll consider now s and its dynamics. We have to now study s and it is dynamics. How can make, now forget about x1, s is the combination of x1, x2. That is okay. Now I am going to take s alone as a function. It is a function of x and x2, but let it. So s alone I am going to take. S is equal to x1 plus x2. Step 2. And s dot is equal to x1 dot plus x2 dot. If I rewrite that, it is x2 plus. Okay, now this is the s dot is equal to x2 plus. Okay, now I have to think how, what value, what this u, what value of u, what kind of function if I select over u such that what is the objective? S has to be 0. What u if I select, if I plug here, I'll make s equal to 0. Remember, we have to make s equal to 0 in finite time. That's very important, because after you make s equal to 0 only, all this analysis is valid. You have made all this analysis assuming that s equal to 0. But then we have to make s equal to 0 in a shorter time or in a finite time. We cannot wait s equal to 0 happens in a very long time, then there is no point. Our control objective is never met. Okay, so we have to design a u such that this s equal to 0 is happening in a quick time or a finite time, theoretically speaking, finite time. How that is possible? Okay, no. So somehow I can write, maybe I am expecting. Suppose if it is like this, minus s. Okay, it's all calculating u, right? So when I make like this, yeah, it looks fine. You remember the other equation, x1 dot equal to minus x1. It looks similar to that. So then I can write s of t. The behavior of this s function is nothing but s of 0 in e power minus t. So any non-zero s of 0, if you start, it will come to 0 when time goes to infinity. Oh my God, then it is not correct. It is not correct. It is taking infinity time. Then s of 0, the benefit of s equal to 0 we cannot enjoy, because s is going to be 0, but it is not happening in the finite time. So this is not the correct choice. So like that, we have to build the dynamics of s, and we have to equate to the existing right hand side. What is in the right hand side? U is sitting, and we have to design u. For example, okay, you said that, sir, okay, I'm happy with this design, sir. Shall we proceed with that? Yes. Suppose if you're happy with that, means let s goes to 0, infinite, taking infinite time, but it's fine. What is the design? How we can design u now? S dot is minus s. Assume. Then s dot is equal to minus s, which is equal to what is actual s dot? This is what we are expecting, but the actual s dot is x2 plus u. From this, we can say if u is equal to, what is that? Minus s minus x2. Okay. Then we can go reverse. If u is equal to minus s minus x2, then s dot is equal to minus s, and s of t equal to s of 0 into e power minus t. Is clear? Fine. We assume something, then we design u, then we are doing a reverse calculation. If you put this u, we are going to get this. Similarly, suppose if I make minus s is equal to minus some k, or this k also can be 1, this sigma of s, what happens? What happens if I making the dynamics of the sliding surface, sliding function with this equation? Yes. With this equation, we can show that s of t goes to 0 as time goes to some capital time t, not time goes to infinity. Previous case, s of t is equal to s of 0, some initial condition if you start, it is e power minus t. Okay. What happens in this case? We can write s of t goes to 0 as time goes to infinity. But this case, this case, we can prove using a Lyapunov function, but don't spend too much time on that. This structure can bring S of t equal to 0 as time goes to some capital time t. That time can be calculated by adjusting this gain. That is okay. That's fine. Then we can now try to extract the controller in this form. Okay. Now S dot is equal to minus k sine of S is equal to, what is the actual? This is x2 plus u. If you equate from the system dynamics, this I would like to have, but then I have a controller to select, controller to decide. So then from this we will make u equal to minus k sine of S minus x2. Yes, this is the sliding mode controller. What is that? When you plug this u to the equation, what the equation will become? The equation will become minus k sine of S minus x2. This controller will make S equal to 0, and then this, when S equal to 0, we know what happens. Okay. Let us now look at the closed loop. How finally the closed loop looks. After designing that, we will simply write this is the closed loop control. x2 dot equal to minus x2 minus sine of x1 plus x2. Because yes is nothing but x1 plus x2. You ask, oh, sir, what is this? It looks something different. So in the state space, we know all other variety of control, right? Suppose it is x1 dot equal to x2, x2 dot equal to u can be minus x1, minus x2. It's a linear controller, state feedback controller, all those things. But this looks something strange. This looks completely different. So this is what our u. So this is non-linear. The system is linear. Open loop system is linear. As a whole, it's non-linear. It becomes non-linear system. Non-linear closed loop system. This is non-linear controller. The open loop system is linear. So we have taken a linear open loop system. We have designed a non-linear controller, and finally the whole will become a non-linear closed loop system. Okay, is it clear? When you plug this controller, what happens in the inside? By looking outside, we don't know. Some controller works perfectly fine. What happens inside? This controller make S equal to 0, some function equal to 0 in finite time. Then after you make that function is equal to 0 in finite time, x1 goes into 0, x2 also goes to 0. So how it looks, if you want to see it is in a graph. Suppose this is what we call a phase plane. Phase plane analysis or phase plane. Okay. So suppose we start from somewhere. What is that surface? That surface is this one. What is S? S equal to x1 plus x2. What is S equal to 0? x1 equal to minus x2. When you take a positive x1, you'll get a minus x2. If you take 1, it is minus 1. If you take 2, it is minus 2. This line. So yes, this is S equal to 0. S equal to 0. What the control is doing, if you start from somewhere, for example, if you start from somewhere, maybe this is the initial condition, x1 of 0, x2 of 0. If you start from this, what happens? This fellow will come here, the trajectories can come here and it will hit this line. And after that, it moves. And finally, it goes to. Suppose if you start from here, it will hit. Then from this, it will move. it will come to 0. So this is how the system behaves. This is sliding. So this phase is what we call as the reaching phase. And this phase is what we call as the sliding phase. So what actually the idea, we want to, from any non-zero value, we have to bring it here. Is it possible to come like this? It can come directly like this. Yes. But is it possible? No. But once it hit this line, it is possible. Directly it is coming. So I am moving this initial condition somehow here. If you make it here, you see the pattern is very straight. It is directly coming to 0, 0 point. Once you hit this line, the line behavior is very simple. In the surface, the behavior is simple. What I mean by simple, the surface, the system order is reduced. x1 equal to minus x2. It is no longer a second order system on the surface. That's where the order reduction comes to picture. We start from the second order system. The behavior is second order, but once it hit the line, the behavior is first order. Sliding phase. This is sliding phase. So what is happening at the end? Then we can ask, sir, how this control is robust. Okay. After you reach the phase, even if there is a disturbance comes, this fellow will never go out of it. The controller will keep hold. It will never go out. It will keep move inside the surface. It is not allowing the trajectory to go out. If it goes out, it will come back. It is got out, it will come back. So it will go like this if there is a disturbance. If there is no disturbance, it will go along with. If there is a disturbance, it will go along with this. That's why the sliding mode controls are robust. Even if you disturb the system, even if there are parameter changes, if initially you design something, some parameters changing, but still the sliding mode controller will make the system sliding over this particular line. Okay, this is for a simple example. Like that, you can take any state space system, you can define a surface S, and you can design a controller U. And for a linear state space system, this design procedures are straightforward. So we have x dot equal to ax plus bu, y equal to cx plus du form if you have, then s equal to some k of x, you can always have. Then you can also have your s dot, and it is very straightforward procedures. It is very simple. But when you try to design for a non-linear system, some L of xu, something like that is there, then you have the design procedure is same. There is no difference between the design procedure for linear and non-linear. The design steps are same, but when you work out for linear system, it looks simple. When you work out for the non-linear system, it looks little involved because we have to design a proper sliding surface. We have to ensure that all the control objectives are achieved on the sliding surface. And then we have to also design a controller U to achieve this. That's what the when we look into the non-linear systems. Okay. Yeah. So this is in brief about the very basic definitions, basic procedures of sliding mode control with a very simple example of what is happening. But with this knowledge, if you try to explore about more on the still fundamental concept of sliding mode control, some more examples of non-linear systems and the sliding mode, then the different variety of sliding mode, integral sliding mode, higher order sliding mode, there are many varieties are there. So if you understand this fundamental, or if you are familiar with this fundamental, then only you can understand the other concepts involved in that sliding mode control. Okay. I think for the first course, this is more than sufficient for you to keep these ideas in your mind, and then you can refer the different textbooks or lecture notes that will help you to understand the further concepts in sliding. You can ask questions now because the lecture is over. Based on this lecture, you can ask questions.
So any queries from participants, sir? Sir, I think no queries, sir. They have understood very well, sir. I think.
Okay, fine.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
In your busy schedule, you have given lecture here. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to the participants for your spending time with this lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So, dear participants, next session will start at 3 p.m. So, eminent speaker is Professor Siddhartha Sen from IIT Kharagpur. So, please join 5 minutes before starting of this session. Thank you.